weeks. So for today's video, it's going to be a story time, and drumroll, going to be about the time I almost got kidnapped. I know, super scary. And this is going back, I believe, let me see, probably like 8 or 9 years when I was in middle school. And the reason I wanted to do a story time on the time I almost got kidnapped was because I was only like 13, I think, so it was like a super creepy and weird experience. But I think it's important to share and for people to know and be aware of their surroundings, and just to always be on the lookout for anything that looks suspicious. Alright, so let's get started. Okay, so back then I was 13 years old. I was an 8th grader. That day I was actually going home. I was going alone, but I would usually go home with my brother and a friend. She was a girlfriend of mine. And we would always stay for like school activities, and then we would end up going home at around probably like 4:30. That day I remember I wasn't feeling good throughout the day, so I told them I was gonna go home like right after school. I didn't want to stay, but they could stay, and I believe they did. So I decided to walk home. We would always walk home together. My dad would drop us off in the morning, and then we would just walk home in the afternoon, because obviously my parents both worked and there was no need for them to pick us up like right after school, because we would always stay. So, and they'd be busy at work or doing other things. My walk home was probably like 15 minutes, maybe 20 at the most, but it was through a busy street. Going and coming. So it was busy both ways. And, well, like, I had walked that street thousands of times before, so that's why I was like, you know what, it doesn't matter, I'll just go home. Okay, so this particular day, I think I was probably less than halfway through it, and it was like I said, it was a busy street, so cars would go by, and I was just walking through the sidewalk, or walking in the sidewalk, and then suddenly, like in the distance, I saw a man, and he just looked odd. Like there was something about him. And it didn't give me a good vibe. So, like as soon as I saw him, like he came out of nowhere too. So I think I was distracted. I don't even know what I was looking at, but I was probably distracted. And then when I looked like straight ahead of me, because this is like a super like 2 blocks, maybe like 3 blocks worth of sidewalk all the way straight down. And when I looked straight ahead, he was there, and he was just walking, and he was like looking around, and it was like sort of weird. He was acting really weird. He was just like looking around and sort of like walking and then stopping and then walking again, and it was just like really odd. And of course it was just me. I wasn't really too worried, because like I said, this was a busy street, so cars kept coming like continuously. So I was like, you know what, like it's fine, I'm gonna be okay. As he got closer and closer to where, because remember, I was walking and he was walking towards me, so we were bound to meet. Because I was walking home and he was walking the opposite way on the same sidewalk, on the same side of the sidewalk, so we were bound to meet. And when that happened, as we got closer and closer and closer, I noticed that he was looking at me, and I would just like avoid sort of like his sight, I avoided looking at him. And I remember I was just like head down, like looking down or something, or like looking to the side, or just not looking at him and just ignoring him. Well, Okay, we're probably still like pretty far away, maybe, I don't know, like 20 feet, 30 feet or something. And he like was like deadly staring at me. As we got closer and closer, maybe like 10 feet and maybe 5 feet even, he was just like looking at me like intently. And that of course creeped me out. So I was just like, you know what, I'm just gonna speed walk out of here. And as I was walking next to him, he shouted, "Do you want to make some fast money?" And I was like, as I kept walking, I said no. And then he tried to like reach out for me and try to grab me. That's when I was like, oh hell no. Like in my head, I was like, oh hell no. I jumped out to the side and I started running for my life. I kid you not, I ran for like 10 minutes straight. I was so scared. I was like, oh my gosh, what if he follows me? Well, he did not follow me, but I just, I didn't stop to look. Once I reached a new intersection, a new stoplight, I stopped, and that's where I kind of caught my breath a little, and then I looked back and he was no longer there. But I don't know, I was just like, I was in shock, honestly. Like, it was super weird, and it was just so scary because I was alone, and who knows, like, I don't know who that was. I don't know if he was a kidnapper or like a child molester, a sex offender, like a serial killer, anything. Like, all that stuff was running through my mind, and I was scared, super scared. My home was uphill. I walked uphill for like probably like 3 minutes tops. Then I was home. So as soon as I got home, I locked the door behind me, and I was just like leaning on the door. Like, my heart was pounding. You don't understand. It was just pounding. I don't know, I was about to have like a heart attack or something. It was just so scary. My older brother, he was already home. So he asked me, like, what happened? Like, are you okay? And I was just like, I think someone was following me. I told him, like, I think someone is following me. And then he's like, what? Like, are you sure? And so I think he went out to check outside and like just look out in the street and see if anyone was there. There was no one. I did not go outside to look because I was just like, what if he saw me? What if he knows I'm in here? Like, this is my house. Like, what if he comes back? So I didn't want to go outside. And then when he came back in, he's like, there's no one there. So I was like, okay, like, just lock the door, lock it. That was like a super traumatic experience. I never did tell my parents what happened, because like I mentioned, they both had work, and so they couldn't obviously pick me up from school and like take me home. I knew that wasn't an option, so I didn't want them to worry. They did drop me off every morning with my brother, so that was fine, but like in the afternoon it was fine because we would walk home together. So there was no issue until that one time. Thinking about it now, I think that he didn't follow me because it was a busy street. Like I said, I think that's one of the things that saved me. Like, if people would have seen that he grabbed me by the arm or something, I'm sure someone would have stopped and would have helped me. I hope. I hope that would have been the case. But honestly, I'm not sure. Like, I know that when you're driving, you're like concentrating on the road and not what's happening on the side of the road or like on the sidewalk. But I hope at least someone like saw that happen and then maybe thought, oh, that's odd. Well, anyway, I remember after experiencing that, I was super, super scared. I would not want to walk home alone, like, ever. I would always wait for my brother or my friend or like all of us together, and we would always walk home. and it was just like a way to protect us. And I don't know, like after that I was just like traumatized, I guess. I don't know how to explain it. I was just like always looking around, like seeing if anybody looked suspicious, or if anybody was like looking at me weird, or like at anyone that I was with, or like, you know, just things like that. Trying to be aware of my surroundings, and like seeing if like something happens, like if I need to do something, if I need to run, or if I need to call for help, or I have something in mind that I could just do. After that incident, I was super afraid to walk home alone, or just with like my friends that were my age, like teens. We were just teens, or not teens, we were just kids, you know. I'll always hesitate. If I needed to get something from the store, I would just wait for my mom or dad, or ask my brothers and see if they could come with me, or like I would just not go. You just never know someone's intentions, and that's what's the scariest part. That it can be a neighbor, it can be your friend, it can be like a family member. I don't know, with all these like serial killers and pedophiles and people abducting children, it's hard to think that in our society today there's people who are preying on, you know, the innocent, the people who can't defend themselves, or like who are tricking people into believing whatever lie they're telling them just to like harm them. It's super scary that everything has changed and no one is who they seem to be. We see that with like the case, where was it? I don't know, a case with Ariel Castro. I can't remember the state, but he abducted 3 women in separate locations. He tricked them into, you know, trusting him, and then he abducted them. And he kept them in captivity for, I think it was like 11 years or 13 years. And one of those girls, it was like his own daughter's friend. So that girl trusted him, that girl knew him. You know, that's the scariest part, and that's what scares me the most, that today in our society, we just never know what's gonna happen. But yeah, I hope this story can bring some information, some knowledge, and just to remind everyone to be aware, to always be on the lookout, not just for yourself, but for everyone around you, especially if it's young kids, or like people your age, or like just anyone. And I would just suggest, if you do see someone in a situation like the one I was, or even a worse one, or something different, and you don't feel like it's safe or appropriate, do get help. Anyone, just tell anyone, and I'm sure they will get help. Like, I'm sure speaking up can make a difference. Okay, so that is all. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys in my next video.